Hey, hi. So, welcome to my another week of this podcast. So, basically, this is the very second one, mostly treated as just like audiobook of my writings. So I appreciate you being here along with me. So, it's very weird to do it alone, but I'm just trying to build it up. Uh, so, let's start actually. So, let's talk about like working remote during this COVID time. So, so what triggered me to talk about this topic is because last week the Wall Street Journal did an article mentioning about like companies starting to think remote work isn't working anymore since last 4 to 5 months, right? So although like there is a positive and negative news around this, as few are supporting remote work beyond this pandemic and few aren't. So this definitely surprised me. So my own team has delivered so well in last 4 months, and everyone was at their best during this time. So a couple of my friends actually, when I talked to from a different companies over these last 4 to 5 months, definitely like many have mentioned that their team have actually amazed in the delivery during this time. So of course, knowing the big picture is not easy within my reach because I hardly, apart from the family members, well, my reach meant not more than like 10 to 12 members, uh, whom I talk about like work related stuff as well. So, but this definitely felt like having cracks in future of work. We were all actually waiting for the remote work. So, if you ask me, I'm definitely in for a world where we can just work from anywhere. So, yes, it's not possible for all the jobs. I understand that, but the jobs which can be done remote should allow to be embrace the remote work culture in organization, right? So, it's not good to have only one choice of work culture, that you always have to be in office, or I can only give you a job if at all you are in this certain location. Actually, I really don't believe it because if at all there are a lot of jobs right now which are actually which can be done. I'm not talking about like if you are a healthcare professional or you have to be in like, so I'm not talking. I'm just talking about like, at least I'm from an IT background, so I'm just talking about there are many jobs which can be done remote, like even like schools as well, as we have seen that there are many of those courses can be done online. But yes, there is always a missing element, that because if people comes to college goes to colleges in order to build the experiences, learn many things from their peers apart from the online learning, right? But I understand all that. But only thing is that coming to the jobs, right? So if at all it's the jobs which can be done remote, but there are a lot of resistance in many companies, right? So who actually resist this work from home culture. Just talk about this prior to this COVID. If at all you see many employers, it's like many of the employees actually hesitate even to ask for remote work, saying that okay, tomorrow my kid's daycare is off, or else tomorrow I have certain a doctor appointment 30 miles away, so it's not worth for me to drive back and forth to the office, so I would just like to work from home. Uh, so at least I feel that many companies should allow remote work in their organizations a lot more, right? It's not good to have only one choice of work culture because the world is changing a lot, right? So we cannot leave office setting as it is, right? So yeah, office setting was there, the cubicles, people going to the specific work location, staying from 8 to 5, 8 9 to 6, or whatever the timeline. But I personally don't like, also doesn't encourage my own team, uh, especially like my team, when they try to share a reason for being work from home, I simply cut them off. Okay, you would like to work from home tomorrow, then it's fine. I don't really need a reason, because as long as you're professional enough, you're able to complete your work and you are engaged with your team, you really don't need a reason. As long as you're just doing your deliverables, right, doesn't matters actually for me. So and so we just definitely, at least I felt that we definitely need a cultural shift around this topic because we need to see the other side of office setting as well, right? So many trends are coming around these recent times. I'm not say recent times. Definitely, if you ask me, remote working is not something a new concept to many of us. Many people have worked remotely since more than a decade, more than 2 decades as well. But the only thing is that the, as the world is changing, the next generation expectations around the lifestyle, work culture are also getting changed. So it's very important to change this current office setting. But problem is also next generation expectation is changing and the lifestyles are getting changed. Many of the employers are actually they still think that being in an office is the only way where they can come up with a more ideas or they can come up with their work deliverable with a higher productivity, right? So you should take an example of. So I met a digital nomad almost 5 years ago in Boston during some hike, and actually when he told his story, I was actually amazed by his work and travel routine. Okay, any of this is not the topic, but we'll definitely talk about that digital nomad as in a culture which is going on. If this is something which you are hearing for first time, just Google around, just Google search for the digital nomads, and this is definitely I would say that the upcoming. See, this is not digital nomads. Not everyone's job. Like people who are in IT, people who are in writing profession, they can work from anywhere, right? So those type of jobs, it's very easier not to stick to a certain location. And so I'm not really saying that everyone should be a digital nomad, leave your home and go everywhere, but it's just the concept of like you're not stick to a certain location, right? So we actually as soon as like in our work entire work career we try to build so many number of skills. So actually you have problem with restricting certain location is always because you are not able to exercise all of your skills to the full potential, I would say, right? So sometimes you'll end up taking a certain job because it's near to your home or you want to avoid too much of traveling, or there is some job opportunity which is completely other coast of your country, right? You really don't want to leave entire your home setting, your maybe your child education is going on, you don't want to move out of the city, right? So you'll definitely losing lot many opportunities as well. So, and I definitely think that many countries are also encouraging this digital nomadism culture. There are countries in Europe, they are actually giving uh, like a work visa where you can actually take that work visa, stay in their own country while working for the for a job which is available in anywhere in the world. Okay, that is completely quite opposite of my living, where I'm an H1B professional, where I can only work in US on the H1B visa and only to a specific employer against which my petition has been filed, right? So, but thinking about like just think about like you can just stay anywhere in the world and work for any organization around the world, right? That's like that is something which at least for me is fascinating sometimes. So, but we'll talk about definitely the digital nomad thing later on. But definitely do a Google search to know about it. But definitely there are a lot of trends like this which are coming around, which are actually uh, challenging the regular office setting. I would say office setting has been pushed a lot since last decade, but still there is a lot of resistance against it. Even in the latest COVID times as well, like many companies are still they have given their given their employees to work remote, but again definitely there are many companies. Like example of Amazon recently, like they're actually buying those. They're opening more centers for their office location. So it means I don't think the office culture is going anywhere. It is still going there, but I definitely see that many employers needs to encourage the remote working if at all they want to excel. right? So coming back, like this is not true remote working structure by many companies as well. So what currently we are in last 5 months since March, at least in the US, March 12th or 16th onwards till today, 5 months we have been working remote, right? But if you ask me, this is not a true remote working structure, right? Which many companies are doing as well, because this pandemic has forced many who didn't supported work from home option earlier to follow actually. So companies have shared up remote working guidelines for the very first time as well. So like I have been with some companies who have never shared like what remote work guidelines ever. Like, people have shared like what should be your dress code in the office, or what's your meeting guidelines in the office. But this is the very first time where many of the companies have broadly shared their remote working guidelines. So many, I would say, they're just and problem I see is they are actually trying to replicate the same on-site work culture to the remote as well. Okay, so for sure, many assume that now that employee doesn't have to travel, they have additional time on their hands. Okay, I understand that. Yes, employed maybe like I'm traveling like half an hour. So there's a cutback of 1 hour in my travel time, right? So, but you need to understand that employees simply think that they have additional time on their hands, and they're pushing them to deliver a lot more than ever. Okay, so this has been a problem with 9 to 5 job culture since very long. So history has shown always measuring by number of hours one will one logs at being in office doesn't improve productivity, doesn't improve the creativity and whatnot, right? So uh, I'll just take a look. Okay, like I'll not talk about the problem statement, because we have seen this since more than a decade, that when the teams are working remote, the expectation, the manager expectation or the team lead's expectations, yeah, so we have seen the problem statement a lot since more than a decade. But more than a decade, I have worked with the teams from a different geographies and learned in a very hard way, I would say, how to make the team work, make the remote culture work actually, and when we don't see each other directly. So I understood that at least it requires more soft skills than working on site, as it just altogether a different dimension. So the reason why I say a different dimension is we cannot treat remote working is same as an on-site working and expect the same results, right? Yes, we all want to see a great results, but we cannot follow the same rule book of for the remote working as well. So both employer and employee both needs to understand actually the remote working dynamics to achieve the success, right? And problem is like not every team actually wins at working remote. Okay, so see, also I see this is not the right time to judge the productivity of remote work. That's the reason the very first in the like couple of minutes ago I just mentioned that this is not a true remote working structure by the many companies as well, right? At the same time, I'm saying that uh, this is not the right time to judge the productivity of a remote work. So apart from working from home during this pandemic, people are actually juggling around multiple responsibilities at home as well. So just ask anyone having a toddler at home and see how many hide and seek they play while getting their work done. So this leads to extending their work hours, adding more stress to the existing stress what they currently have. So for sure, this is not at all a right time to measure remote work success. It- This topic has always been like a double-edged sword, at least, like where one group will always be pleased to be working from office, and one always from working from remote or working from home, right? So there will be like many for sure who says getting work done being remote is too hard or impossible, right? So I have personally worked with the remote teams more than a decade. Yes, it has struggles of being on the same page, collaborating faster initially, but all of this can be sorted out. If I have to describe in a word like what it is needed to work remotely successfully, it would be discipline. So every team struggles to make that solid fist at the first. If done few things right, adapt new changes as needed, will help to build a stronger team irrespective of where they are located. Right? All you require is right leadership, the trust within the team. All the team members should trust each other. and I would say disciplined team. Okay, apart from so one is like trust at the same time, people having their own skills, and at the same time, discipline is also a lot needed within the team towards their work. So if they have at least these are like my three flavors to form a successful remote team, because unless a project manager or the management leadership side, they don't have a right expectations. Team has to trust each other when they don't see each other, uh, like they don't see each other in the same place when they're remote. Then, and also individual employee also needs to show discipline towards their work, right? If all of these are my key flavors in order to form a successful remote team. Okay, so I would just like to, we talked about problem statement and all that, but okay, I personally did many small changes to the regular team management cycle to form my own top performing team. Okay, and that, so I'm not boasting about that I built successful teams. Yeah, you can switch over to my LinkedIn. You can see uh, the recognition I got delivering certain projects in last decade. But there has been a lot of struggle as well at the same time. It is not a simple a cakewalk, and but I would definitely defend anyone who says that uh, getting work done being remote is impossible. I would say they haven't tried it first of all. eh, So give it a try first of all. That's at least it. Don't make a statement or don't judge entire work culture without even trying at least. So I would at least share what are the few things which I did. Mm. So like task assignments for the day should be very clear. So we have been running since last 5 years or in the all the projects mostly in the agile model. So actually running in agile, everyone is very clear about their stories, which they are responsible for the next 2 weeks, because it's there on our sprint schedule, it's there on the Jira board. Everyone knows like what is their responsibility, what is their work items. Right? So every team actually does the stand up calls, but problem is just having putting certain stories, certain tasks on the board and making that particular account responsible doesn't going to doesn't going to win your team, right? You need to have some direct connect within the team as well in order to ensure that your day-to-day work is not impacted, right? So make sure that not just your regular stand-up call to know what task certain resource is working on. You need to have certain connection with the team member as well to make sure the task is very clear to them. And if they have any hurdles as well, make sure that we able to resolve them within the team. And second thing is team should be connected virtually throughout the day. Okay, so if at all you're completely working in different geographical locations, in that particular case, email is only possible because it's the time difference. But if at all you are in a situation where you are working with a person who's sitting in a New York and another person sitting in a Virginia, then maybe in the same time zone, but you are not in the same office. In that case, I would definitely recommend that the team should be virtually connected throughout the day. Okay, when an entire team is remote, use the instant messaging options of the group chats. Like what are the Microsoft Teams? So what are your office cultures? Skype. What are you guys utilize? Have on a group chat. Okay, so so definitely avoid like one-to-one communications over here. Uh, so you won't disturb the focus of others. Okay, so this particular group chat is only for the team related activities, not for the one-to-one communications. Okay, so it doesn't matter if the ask is small or big. Always do post the doubts, asks in that group chat. So anyone from team can jump in here and help each other. See if it's the same ask for everyone, then quickly connect over a call to make it very quick. See also if at all the reason why I felt so the one more thing which I have noticed is doing these group chats was there are many silent talkers, right? So I would say introverts or the silent talkers, they may open up over the chat option. Okay, so I won't recommend too much video conferencing, as it does a lot of screen burnout and maintaining eye contact in all the meetings during the day is very tough. So select your video conferences wisely, but do a best use of the instant message. And next thing is we talked about the task, right? Task has to be very clear to the resource. And the other point which I reiterate again and again in my team is never hold any task more than 2 hours. Okay, so it might sound a little bit of pressurizing at first. What I mean here is once the task is assigned, I suggest myself or my own teammate to spend initially few hours, not more than two hours. Okay, so you take a task, do your own analysis, trying to come up with a solution, trying to come up with a design. So if you're not able to figure it out within 2 hours, say there's no progress and task is done, then simply reach out in the group chat or get on the voice call to discuss the challenge. So mostly within team, someone will give a solution right away, or at least you will have a helping hand. So this was very crucial to implement as running in a 2 week schedule. The reason is if at all in a 2 week schedule, if at all even a day has been missed, it's going to impact your day-to-day schedule, right? So because a missed day deliverable will cascade to the rest of the your week's deliverable as well. Okay, so that's the at least this is successfully. At least I have implemented this in my team. Even my team felt this is one of the most critical feature which at least even they felt it's damn useful. Uh, so that next day morning stand up call, they were very much done with their prior day tasks. So next is like another thing which we have done is like peer review of the work. Basically, the peer review of the work is very common. So it's a very important to understand each team member, although entire team is working on the same project, and so we get on. So you need to understand individual team member. Okay, so although we are all many team members are on the same project, and actually we get on board with the required project skills, but not everyone has the same strengths in the required skills. Because see, just like your hand, all your five fingers are not equal. Your team will also be exactly like your hand. Not although you say all of you guys are working on some Java project, all of you have Java skills, but everyone's strengths are different, although you're working on the same technology, right? So in that case, what you have to do is get the team into the pairs, okay, in order to help each other during the work. So I'm not just talking about for me, peer review is not just post entire work is done, the another resource is reviewing it. We are actually, and one more thing is when I definitely like, I'm not actually saying that divide the team into the groups. All I'm saying is just make them in a pairs so that they know who is their first contact to reach out for help. Okay, so this builds team confidence in a very small pairs first, and also complement each other's strengths in the long run for the team's performance. Okay? This one definitely like we have seen like people uh, people actually come forward initially saying that if at all they did their analysis, they're not able to figure it out. Rather than spending their entire day or wasting their entire day's effort, it's very easier for them to reach out for someone else, and that maybe the someone else can give them a quick hint. Then then the resource can actually pick their task and go ahead, right? Uh, so next one is which you did was like checkpoint meetings during the day. So initially we started this pretty off because often we found that the tasks are not moving ahead as per the schedule. So even after half a day as well. So this is where like in the previous one point which we talked about, uh, 2 hours of analysis, then please raise a hand, right? So prior to implementing that, we definitely found out that people are taking more than half a day, and the tasks are simply not moving ahead. So none actually came in. Sometime none of them will actually raise their hand, ask for help in the group chat. Maybe they feel embarrassment or don't know what it is, but it happens every now and then with every team actually, I would say. So we started a midday checkpoint meeting. So these are mostly informal meetings, just a roll call and make sure that they are rolling forward. So if not, what any one of us can do to help a team member. So initial days, lead have to step up in order to help a team a lot. And once teams get comfortable with each other, individual team member will volunteer for the help. So mostly these calls are done in 5 minutes because we don't want to waste the time in the meetings. But this will actually let you know that the team is rolling forward, right? So the morning discussed tasks are rolling over. So this also extends, and the call actually extends only for a particular team member who is actually stuck at work, right? So as at that point of time, you need to uh, extend your time as a lead, or someone else can jump in and help the team member to resolve their hurdles. The another thing is, with the team, always have the conversations as a we instead of you. So it's like if you simply assign a task saying that you need to do this, you need to do this, and you need to do something else, instead of assigning C, have the conversation as we need to accomplish these number of things. Can you help us in completing this particular story? You can pitch in for the another story, right? So we should able to do this with taking the help of some other analyst. So having the conversation with we will always help. So, and always have the conversation as a team instead of in a subgroups. So although every team member works on a different task, and having conversation about the work as, if we have a conversation as an we, it actually gives them that entire team is connected. If they stuck somewhere, it's very easier for them to reach out. Okay, that's this is some like mentally you're making the team as in a one team, right? So that's the reason why I say one team is like every individual sees their task as their own deliverable. But if at all you started the conversation as an we, they treat their work is not just their own deliverable, it's a team's deliverable, right? So it's very easier for them having that mindset that if I need help, I should able to reach out to the other person immediately. So the next thing is, I would say, know your remote team very well. So know their surroundings, situations uh, pretty well. Say one is taking care of an elder in the same room while they are working. Okay, so they may be away for a while for some time, or they have a baby and they need to get away from the desk multiple times to change the diaper and be back. So knowing people's situations while they are remote will actually help, which actually help us in our instead of running towards a judgment, right? So this requires a handshake between both the sides. As a remote employee can schedule time on their calendar as getting away from the desk, so others know that they are away for a particular reason. So I would say this is an handshake which is required between both the manager or the lead or the individual team members. Uh, Knowing your individual team member well will actually, when you're completely remote, it's actually help you always to see as in a one team rather than running towards a judgment against another person. Then we I also schedule like a weekly team meeting. No, not weekly, I would say bi-weekly, like every 2 weeks we used to meet once. uh, so it's actually normal so it's for me it's not a regular team meeting because we have a daily stand-up calls, checkpoint calls, other project meetings are going on. So we actually see our like we actually be on the call multiple times throughout the day. We hear each other's voices as well. But this one is purely a team meeting where we just talk about other than project tasks. Okay, so this meeting is like this is a 1 hour in the 2 weeks which I schedule, where anyone wants to talk about their leave plans, as an example, uh, because the entire team is available there. They can talk about the leave plans or right. So my team members were actually very supportive. rather than individual person reaching out to their manager asking for a leave. When I made this entire leave plan or leave tracking, entire leave management as an one of team meeting discussion, my team members are actually very supportive in swapping the leaves around them. Yes, like, oh, okay, you are planning in February, then okay, I will take leave in April. Okay, I have my cousin wedding, or other person is able to swap it, saying that okay, you have much valid reason. I'm just trying to take 3 weeks off, but you have much more right reason to be with your family right now. So why don't you go ahead right now? I will schedule after a month or so. So and so definitely like having a meeting where you don't simply talk about a project status call is very helpful. So or also like I jumped in like one of my previous project like 2 years back, I would say. One of the team member was talking about what is their recent interest in the learning, right? So they are learning something, a new technology, or so they're sharing their experiences. And at the same time, one person came back and asked openly to give in uh, the technology which we are currently working on, to give a complete overview or uh, taken a weekend class. At least it was like that see, they openly asked to give a weekend class on a new tool we are working on. So this process brought so much openness to my team at least. So yeah, if you are into the project management and team management, definitely I recommend doing connect with your team and make sure that you don't talk about anything related to the project or the deliverables or the tasks. This is just connect with your team other than your deliverables. And so the last part, like to excel the remote work, for me, discipline is very top priority. So one should master the art of time management. So even when you're at home, just dresses as you're going to work, right? So if dressing doesn't disturbs you, maybe sit in a place which is like your workplace, and doesn't go back to the desk till the next day. So discipline is needed a lot, especially when we work remote, as we have so many factors around us compared to the workplace. So people who have already been working remote, they are very well aware of it. But people who stumbled because of this COVID situation and facing this new challenges by working remote, definitely you having certain schedule or having certain discipline around it is is going to be a lot helpful for you. And many so this is like I guess we have talked a lot. So this is what like, I see that this is one of the key management skills which is needed for the future, right? I don't think if this is not a key, like if you're in a project management professional, then I don't think but I don't think remote working is seen as some skill, but definitely if you talk about future, I see uh, the program managers or the project managers who have led much successful teams, uh, they are going to have uh, that's their niche skill, I would say, because if you don't know how to manage a remote team well, then definitely it's a very high time to learn. Yes, it's need to be learned as one require more soft skills in managing a remote team compared to the on-site team. So I would say to restart again, like, so if I had to summarize, trust your team. So check in as needed, do video conferencing once in a while, set the expectations very clear with the team, and have honest conversations with the team. Right? So irrespective of the project, irrespective of your work, managing a like let's talk about the project management, especially like the reason why I'm saying the remote working is pretty important skill set for the project manager. Uh, when I say a project manager should know how to handle a remote team as well, because as the world is changing, the work can get done from resource sitting anywhere in the world as well, right? So I would say it's very important. Doesn't matter whether you are managing a team who is on site or off site. Definitely, you need to you need to have that art of building a successful team. Yeah, and this is skill. If it is, which is something which you are not familiar, and then definitely you need to learn this, right? So quickly, let's talk about like how do you make sure that irrespective of your team is remote or on site, what does the project manager or the lead should do? Okay, or else how do you form a successful team, right? Uh, See, basically, let's talk about like what exactly causes your team to get failed, right? If you have a wrong expectations or you have inconsistent social norms, and say you have very unclear roles within the team, then definitely these are like one of the key points where you'll be leading team to a disaster state, right? So how to come over and build a strong team is, first of all, identify the most critical team issues, right? So what exactly the pain points of the team? Assess the work projections, then what are the available resources, who are currently are available, and reallocate the tasks accordingly. And basically, your team should agree to the priorities as well. What are you are setting? You and your team should be on the same page. And please avoid the role conflicts. Uh, if Because if you clearly define the roles, and that's it will be very easier for the resource to focus on their task. Right? As we talked about focus on task, please do a proper task assignments. So these are like pretty basic first things which you have to do, right? So once you set these basic guidelines, your team should always, now you need to talk about stabilizing your teams, right? So first of all, once you form these guidelines, please dismantle the people who are playing the blame game. So take them out and create a psychological safe environment. Your team should actually raise some concerns, ideas very freely. Okay, so have the team have a solid foundation during the project initial phase, because they should know not about their day-to-day tasks, rather they should be aware of their future goal or the system which they're trying to build, right? And do automate many of the processes, like what type of communications you'll be using within the team, uh, how meetings would be run within team or outside the different teams, how decisions would be made within the team. So if you automate these type of processes, then it's going to help a lot for your team. Okay. So for the long haul, I would say look out for the issues which initially we discussed, which are key components for a team disaster. So keep a routine to check your team health. Make sure that none of them have still any concerns, and avoid definitely burnout within the team. So do revisit your plan, reallocate the tasks accordingly. The team should be on same page with your priority. Okay. So I would say like be in a preventive care always. So so this so these are like one of the like key points which I just wanted to share. If you are interested to make a solid like long term successful teams, irrespective doesn't matter whether they are remote on or off or on site. So remote working is not, so as you say, remote working is not something new for most of us. It has existed way before this pandemic. So it's just that pandemic has forced most of the jobs which can be done remote to operate in a remote way. So before we jump onto a judgment of remote working isn't working anymore, organizations actually should look at plenty of material which is already out there. At least I would say since last 2014 or 16 onwards, many. companies have success has achieved greater success being remote. Okay, many have actually published excellent guides, and I would recommend you to visit my Substack article. So it is Sridhar Gargipati, my name, .substack.com. So if you go to my site, you'll find an article on one of the article which I referred, uh, where they have listed clear guideline how exactly they have successfully, like I guess these are the people from uh, some uh, some financial website. So they built certain. So they are able to build a successful website, and they have published what their guideline to make the successful teams. That's an excellent guide, which at least I felt. And so definitely organizations, there's a lot of material is already out there. Remote working is definitely is not something a new thing, but this is still needs to get a lot of attention and in this changing world. All right. So let me know what are your thoughts. So you can reach me. Uh, you can see me on Twitter, Sridhar Garipati, or you can reach me on my website, sridhargaripati.substack.com as well. Okay, so let me know. I just want to know what exactly you are doing, especially in order to make your remote team work. All right, thank you.